Are you guys going to prove to me that through this 40 minutes that I'm going to talk to you, that you're going to be an example of perfect behavior?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so no kicking your feet, banging things, no daydreaming out the window, nothing like that. You're basically going to show that we're really intelligent people, and the Sevadars made the correct decision to basically put you in this workshop. Are you going to do that?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Right. Okay. The effects of technology on children. The reason I wrote this talk is because you've done part of the parenting course, even though I rushed through it, and you've done that. Now, when I've done that with parents, often afterwards we have loads of question and answers. Okay, we've not had a chance to do that here. Maybe tomorrow we'll have some chance to do that. So loads of people ask questions about, and loads of people also have one-to-one sessions with me where they talk about their families and introspects, because often what I get is families look at these things that we've talked about and then they think about it. That's why I said this morning, just go absorb it, think about it, because this is the way I like to talk about Sikhi. This is the way I think people are very good at learning, is that you float ideas and then people absorb it and they think about, well, how can I tweak my life to bring some good practice into my life? How can I tweak my life or basically make some changes in the way we do things to make our house a better place? Okay? And then after we have these things, because many times what happens is after I've done that talk, a year later, people will say that at that time, we had that talk, and since then my relationship with my daughter or my relationship with my brother or my sister or my relationship with my cousins has become so much better because we've made these changes in our lives. And that's what it should be about. It's about you guys looking about how you're going to improve your lives, your environment, and your relationships. Now, one of the things that parents find most difficult now is dealing with technology in their children. Okay? Too many parents struggle with the fact that their children spend so many hours in front of TVs or in front of Xboxes or on phones and stuff like that. And so because bar our question on their area, I thought, well, I'll just write a talk on it. Okay? And this is the talk. It's called The Effects of Technology on Children. So this is very important for you as children because you're going to learn a lot. And I know you're very clever already, but you're going to get more clever. Okay? And it's very important as parents because too many parents just say, phone band kar do, Xbox band kar do, band kar do, rather than having a proper conversation. Okay? So, okay, now, what we're getting now, ਸਾਡਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ generation ਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਸੀਗਾ ਜਦੋਂ mobile phone ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ. And some of you remember that time. It was a good time. And we used to play in the streets, we used to play football outside, you know, we used to play Connect 4 and Scrabble. Well, not so much Scrabble, but we used to spend a lot of time playing with tennis balls in streets and stuff, and we knew everybody on our street. Do you do that? Yes. And nowadays, some children just spend all their time inside their house and they don't even know their neighbors. So basically, sanu o den yaad ya. Do you remember the times when you had phones and you used to do that dial? Yeah, that was good. And then basically all them things that, so you remember them times. But now we also have had, so we had 20 years, I'm 40 years old, so I had 20 years without technology. And I've had 20 years with technology, with our phones and everything else. Okay, so we've seen both sides. But now there's a whole generation that's grown up just with technology. And when scientists do studies, they don't do studies over 5 years. They do studies over 20 years. So the first time now, we're getting proper in-depth studies of ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਅਸਰ ਹੋਇਆ to the last generation that have grown up purely with just technology. Okay, so now you're getting studies out of the United Nations, and in UK we have the Public Health Office, and I'm sure you've got Canadian and American versions of the same thing. So everything I talk about here, underneath on my lecture, you'll see quotes, sources, where I've sourced studies. ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਗੱਪਾਂ ਮਾਰੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ. Actually, this is from proper researched things. Okay, so now you've had universities in America, Canada, Japan, UK that have done proper studies on what's happened to this generation over the last 20 years that have grown up with Xboxes, mobile phones, and social media. And when I read these reports, one of the biggest findings that they have come out with is that children of that technological age show 40% less empathy than previous generation of students. Okay? So, what does the word empathy mean? Yes, Benji?
Empathy means that they're, like, for example, someone hurt and another person comes, like,
Perfect.
if they're
See,
crying,
didn't I say to you these children are so intelligent?
they feel the thing that the other people feel.
Yeah. Yes, in Punjabi we call it hamdardi. Hana? What Benji said is perfect. She said if someone's hurt, it's the impact on the other children knowing how to deal with that situation, how to go and help them. Because they're empathetic, they understand that I need to help that person. So, this generation has 40% less empathy. What does that mean for society? What does that mean for us as human beings? What is that going to result in? Just be louder, say things louder so I can properly hear you. Sorry, don't worry. Sorry?
Extinction.
Probably not that much. Okay, that happened to the dinosaurs. I don't think that's going to happen to us. Trump might do that, but anyway.
Less bothered about others.
Less bothered about others? What else do you think?
Social unrest.
Social unrest.
Isolation. Less.
Isolation, yeah?
Higher chance of mental illness.
Sorry?
They are.
Yeah, less there.
Higher chance of mental illness.
Very good. Higher chance of mental illness. And we're already seeing that in camps. You know, in the last 5 years, we've had more one-to-one sessions on mental illness than we've ever had before. And I've been doing camps for 20 years. It's a massive shift in what's happening in society. But 40% less empathy, what does that mean? That means there's an increased chance of your child either being bullied by other people or being the bully. Because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ less hamdardiya with the other children. There has less understanding of what's happening with the other child. So your child has more chance of being the bully or being bullied. Later on in life, more chance of divorce. And we again are seeing that as a massive increase over the last 10 years. There's far more divorces there are now than there were 10 years ago. Significantly. More chance of being socially uncomfortable as a person. But when we look at Gurmat, empathy is an essential trait of Gurmat. Regularly, the Guru Granth Sahib talks about empathy. Regularly, Guru Granth Sahib talks about कि हमदर्दी होनी चाहिए है, निम्रता होनी चाहिए है, दूसरे ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ. You should have pyar with them. And the more naam we jap, the more natural empathy comes inside of us. Or naturally ਸਾਡਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ of who we are. So, it's an essential Gurmat trait. But how many of you here have ever told your child off for being on a phone or an Xbox or TV too long? Put your hands up as a parent. Or an older brother and sister. ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਟੈਲੀ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ? Yeah, she's making her dad put her hands up. Now, before you do that, let me ask you one question. Okay, जिन्ने भी parent here, put your hands up if you got a mobile phone. Okay, now Okay. Waheguru. Waheguru. Now put your hands up or tell me how many times before you go to sleep do you quickly check your phone? And you think you're going to be on your phone for 5 minutes, and actually 20 minutes later you're still on your phone. Okay? Do you know, Waheguru? Do you know, and Bhai Jagjit Singh actually told us this 2 years ago in Khalsa Camp, because you probably know Bhai Jagjit Singh is a local Singh of yours, that when they designed tablets and phones and stuff like that, they put a light in there. There's 3 types of light, and they put a light in there which is designed to not make you go to sleep. So it's designed into the whole phone or the tablet that you will stay on it longer. And in UK now, the police, and I've not got it in this talk, but the next version of this talk I'm putting on there, about 3 weeks ago, the police actually, whole of UK police put out a press release and said, can you stop your children using these apps? And they actually put 20 apps on there because they've seen so much social damage because of them apps. Instagram's on there, Snapchat's on there. Snapchat, every school talk, we regularly have talks in our schools where they're talking about the damage of apps to your children's health. And every single one has always said Snapchat is the worst. That make sure your children never use Snapchat. Okay? So they've actually put apps out because what's happening now is that children are suffering massively some sleep deprivation. Because nyane raat nu phone te lage rehinde and they're going to sleep at 1 or 2 o'clock at night. So where they were getting 7 or 8 hours sleep, they're getting 4 or 5 hours sleep. So what's happening in the schools is that children are falling asleep in schools. People are getting skin problems. People are getting mental health problems. People are losing weight massively or gaining weight massively as young children because as a human body, we need to have 7 hours of sleep. You know, for you to just stay healthy. Your skin tone, your color of your skin, your quality of your skin is very much dependent on the quality of your sleep. You know? And if you basically, you can put as much creams on as you want. If you're not sleeping properly and you're stressed out, etc., it's going to show in your face. You know? So all of these things matter. So the police are now doing this. So the reason I put that, if you as adults are so addicted to your phone that you can't control staying on it for 5 minutes and you're actually on it for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, how do you expect children to be able to control it? ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਪੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ on the phone, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, because ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ Facebook ਨੂੰ ਕਲੇਸ਼ਬੁੱਕ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਹੈਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ all the time ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ and it's basically just pure ਕਲੇਸ਼ਬੁੱਕ ਹੈਨਾ and basically and if you can't control them urges, how do you expect a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old to do it? So we need to think about this. So human interaction. In 2017, studies showed that 50% of students prefer to text rather than talk. This is the first generation to do this. 50% of university students prefer to text rather than talk. That is massive. So you're not talking about a small number of people, you're talking millions of people. 50% of university students prefer to do that. Why? Because they do not see the impact of their words. Now, what's happening is this you as husband and wife? Is this you as husband and wife? ਅੱਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੁੱਖ ਸੁੱਖ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਬੈੱਡ 'ਚ ਪਏ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਟੇਬਲ 'ਤੇ ਪਏ ਆ ਫੋਨ 'ਤੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਆ rather than actually talking to each other. Because this is what's happening in people's houses. And why is it? Why are people so nasty on internet? Why are people so nasty on Twitter and everything else? Because let's say I don't like Veerji. if I said them things that some people write on social media to Virji, I'm doing it face to face. I have to deal with his reaction. His reaction could be he's very angry. It could be he's very sad. He could be basically upset. I have to deal with his reaction. But the problem with social media is you just write it and you put the phone down. And because people don't have to deal with other people's reaction, they don't care. And so what it does is it brings out the worst in human beings. And so people will write the most nasty things, either to celebrities or anyone else, and people are twittering like anything. And essentially what it is bringing out the worst, it's bringing out the most kaam, krodh, lom, hankar of a human being that you can possibly get. Because it's emphasizing that. So this means their brain is has an experience of empathy, human interaction, body language, and the ability to listen. So then 50% of students, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ understanding ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ. So you remember in the last talk I said to him, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਤੇਜ਼ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ. Remember I was talking about that? And they said that ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ simple ਆ. The next generation, some of them, because they're not socially active or comfortable people, some of them don't even understand basic body language. Some of them don't even understand basic words, tone of voice. They're socially uncomfortable because it's so much easier just playing on the Xbox. It's so much easier just doing other things, rather than actually going down the street and talking to people. Do you think then people are going to be able to handle it in a job? Do you think then people are going to be handle it in a marriage? Are they going to be handle it being a parent? They're going to struggle. And what's happening is society is going to start crumbling because of all these things. It's because of the use of technology that we have. Children do not understand the tone of voice when spoken with love. They lack conversation ability and understand complexity of emotion. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆ, I know when my dad wasn't happy. He didn't have to say any cherike to me. He just looked at me. And I knew I better sort myself out. Have you had dads like that? Hannah? Okay, too much. Right. So, we understood when we were growing up, straight away, we need to calm down. We need to behave ourselves because my dad just giving me that look. And my mum tried to give me that look, but then she would start laughing because we would start laughing. But my dad, he had it spot on. He would just look at us and we were like, "Theek hai, chup ho junge hon." And this is the thing. We understood that kind of complexity. We understood tone of voice. We understood these things. But if a person now is so used to texting rather than talking, that's a problem. So, imagine your son or daughter has now just gone to university, okay? Or maybe brother and sister. Would you prefer it if they texted you or if they phoned you? Why do you want them to phone you? It's a more personal connection. So, ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ phone ਕੀਤਾ, Mom, Dad, university is good, but I'm lonely. And ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਣਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਫਿਕਰ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਤੂੰ ਹਮ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਿਗਰਾ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰ. It's the next phase of your life. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ. You know, you're going to do great. You're going to meet loads of friends there. You're going to be really good there. It's going to be a really good experience for you. But that's one conversation. The other one is, Mum, Dad, love you, lol, heart, 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 heart. And then Mum says, I love you too, heart, 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 heart. I miss you too, heart, 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 heart. Now, is that a conversation that you enjoy? Hannah? But if 50% of students are having that conversation because they're not confident enough to pick the phone up. Sometimes people say to me, Jagjit Singh, I'm going to WhatsApp you, or Jagjit Singh, I'm going to message you. And sometimes I say to them, I am really bad at responding on social media. I'm on social media, but I only put my programs on there. And sometimes people want to respond to me. I'll say, Vijay, just ring me. Because I can have a 2-minute conversation and say something to you, and I can spend 20 minutes trying to type it out, even with predictive text. It takes ages. Yes. Isn't it good to just talk?
You have to you have to find like the letters.
Yes. Yeah, you're like me. We're good people. We like to talk, don't we? Anna? So, yeah, he talks a lot, does he? Yeah, he's like me. Okay, so we want to have the child who can have that emotional connection with us. But the problem is, we put the phone, we put technology in the middle. Now, remember on the first day I said to you, the highest levels of mental health are in the countries that have the fastest internet. And people are still figuring that out. That yes, we're going to go to 5G. At some point, we'll go to 6G. You know, in our children's life, it'll probably be 10G. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be happier as human beings. All it means is everything's going to be more instant. So ultimately, happiness comes from human interaction. Happiness comes from relationships. Happiness comes from these kind of things. So, now, I made a mistake as a parent. Okay, I'm being quite open with you. About 6-7 years ago, I bought large Samsung TVs. And with them Samsung TVs, Samsung gave me free tablets. Okay, and I thought, Change bandaya, that's good. I'll give it to my children. And they're going to be good at doing puzzles and they'll play on the tablets. Biggest mistake I ever made. And I'll put a disclaimer here. Tablets, when it comes to technical learning like maths and puzzles, doing puzzles, tablets are fantastic for that. Your kids will get really good at it. Okay? But this is what tablets can't do. The world is multi-dimensional. When children play with toys, they realize texture, color, fragrance, 3D shapes. You're never going to learn texture on a tablet. You're never going to learn fragrance on a tablet. You're going to learn fragrance, texture when you play in the garden. The world is 3D, the world is not 2D. And that time when our children should be discovering the world, instead they're living in a 2D world on a tablet. When I understood this, I took their tablets away. They cried for about a week, and then they started playing outside. And they've never looked back. Okay? And that was a mistake, and many of us made that mistake. Because at that time we thought, no, this is better for their learning. Technology needs to be embraced, but with the understanding of its limits and the impact of a mind of a child. We want our children to be pioneers in a technological world, but emotionally happy and balanced. So, and I'm going to talk a lot about this, about why we need technology. I'm not saying technology is bad, and I'm not saying start living as Mormons and forget the world. No, we need to be active with technology. But we need to understand how it affects children. So, children that use less technology are less able to soothe, be imaginative and patient. Now, when you're a child, you're going to learn more between the age of 0 and 2 than any other point in your life. Research shows that at that time, you're learning at such a fast pace, it's like learning a language every 2 days. Your mind is growing so quickly, where you're learning about words, you're learning about texture. That's why they put everything in their mouth, because that's the way they understand texture. You're learning about smells, you're learning about emotions, and everything else. They're learning so fast. And this is what we call deep play. This is deep play. And I remember when I wrote this talk, my nephew was the one I tested this talk on. And my nephew is now just going to university. And I said, do you remember when you were young, he used to get patille out of our kitchen, and he used to put the Ranswai videos on, and he used to pretend to play the tabla with his patille. And I was thinking, don't your hands hurt? And he would go, why, Guru, why, Guru? And he's banging the patille, and he used to love it. And I said, now, children after him, the other children never did anything like that. Why? Because they had phones and they had tablets. But what he did was deep play. Because he had to use his imagination to make that patilla think it's a tabla. Just like these kids are in a box and they think they're pirates and they're looking out across the sea. This is them using their imagination. This is a boy doing a puzzle. They're having to use their imagination. They're having to use their thing. When you're on a tablet, you don't use your imagination. You use the person who's made the app, their imagination. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ imagination ਵਰਤੇ on a computer game, you're not using your own imagination. So as a child, you're not growing. You're not becoming creative. And that's very important because in the future, with artificial technology, 40% of the world's jobs are going to disappear, and that's going to be in these children's lifetimes. And appa ta retire ho jana. But when they're at work, 40% ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੀ ਜੌਬਾਂ ਡਿਸਅਪੀਅਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜੌਬਾਂ ਡਿਸਅਪੀਅਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫੈਕਟਰੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੌਬਾਂ ਡਿਸਅਪੀਅਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ, even down to doctors. And when I did this talk in UK camp, one of the Bibia, she says, she works as a science teacher, she said that we were shown, she's Diljit Kaur, she's been twice voted as Teacher of the Year in UK, and she's won the award from the Queen as the best teacher in every school. And she's basically our top private school where she teaches. And she goes, we were taken to a big computer company and they showed us this computer which has a diagnosis rate of I think it was 90%. So when you put your thing in there that I've got these symptoms, it correctly diagnoses you at 90%. In the NHS, the diagnosis rate of a doctor at the moment is 60%. So the computer's already better than the doctor, and they're still working on the computer. So do you think even the doctor's jobs are going to be around in the future? This is the change that's going to happen. The jobs of the future are going to be with the people who are creative. But if you're basically not allowing your children to be creative from day one, they're not going to do it. They're not going to be able to survive in that world. They're not going to get jobs. 1 minute, let me finish then I'll come to you, okay? The second thing is, how many of you children play FIFA? Put your hands up. Or Call of Duty. That's FIFA, that's if you play soccer. Yeah, you guys don't play soccer here, do you?
Oh, soccer?
Yeah. Or do you play Call of Duty?
What type of soccer? What's that? What's that?
Video games, Xbox games. Okay, you guys are good kids then. Okay, don't worry about it. Forget it. Just erase what I just told you. Okay. I was at Fortnite. How many of you play Fortnite? Yeah, Fortnite's like taken over everything, hasn't it? Okay, hands down. Now, in the longer version of this talk, I show a YouTube video. And in that YouTube video, what they do is they put a camera on top of a TV on the eyes of the child that's playing that computer game. And they just video his eyes. Hannah? And when they video his eyes, it's shocking when you watch it. Because basically, all bache the eyes are going here, there, like, and it's going on like that. And when you look at it, you think, oh my God, that is so bad. That is so abnormal as a human being. For you to just, your eyes, because your face is still, because they're so caught in in what they're doing, but the eyes are going so fast. And then they show at the end, there goes that because children have been doing this for 20 years, children are, as they're growing up, they're losing hand-eye coordination. What is hand-eye coordination? If someone throws a ball at you, you can just catch it. When you're trying to eat, you know, your fork goes to your mouth. There's now people that basically can't feed themselves because they've done that with their eyes for so long, because these children are spending hours in front of these computer games. That's how they're damaging themselves. I know. So imagine when you were young, how many of you went on a long car ride? Yeah, I suppose in Canada you must have. Yeah? When you went on, I'm talking more to the parents, okay? How many of you went on long car rides? Yeah? What did you do? Yeah. You know what you did? You looked out the window. You know that's an alien concept to children. Because now, if you don't have a car with a USB port, they can't charge their tablet or their phone, and therefore they have to look out the window. Because so many children now will only sit in long journeys if they can keep playing their games. When we looked out a window, we saw trees, we saw cows, we saw the world is a big place. We saw beauty, we saw nature. Do you agree? Yes. And then we had to talk to each other. You had to talk to your parents, so you had to initiate a conversation. Anna? So you had to say, Mum, Dad, are you okay? How long is it going to be? Anna? When's the next service station? I need to go to the toilet. Anna? So you were saying these kind of things. Now, the children, they're just like, game over, next game, game over, next game, game over, next game. And then when you stop at a service station, oh yeah, main peshab bhi kan jana hai. Because their dhyan is purely in the game. Now, that's why they're not discovering the world. And this is what happened is they're not building their imagination. Now, one of the most important gifts any parent can give a child is to learn how to self-soothe. Yes?
So usually I used to play video games a lot,
Hmm?
and then my mother said that I only allowed to play video games all weekend.
Okay,
And now I got better at testings and stuff.
very good. We're going to come to that because we're going to talk about that near the end, okay? So remind me at that time. Okay, now self-soothing. What is self-soothing? Viji's got a baby there, Hannah? Now, sometimes that baby is going to start crying, Hannah? As that baby grows up, let's say another child takes his toy away from him. That child's going to cry. But then after about a minute, 2 minutes, that child's going to realize there's no fair that I'm crying. I'm going to stop crying now. I'm going to find another toy. That is naturally part of a child growing up because you realize that actually crying doesn't benefit anything. I'm going to correct myself. I'm going to soothe myself and I'm going to move on. Hannah? And this is important, very important in learning as human beings, is that we realize ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੀ life ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, that we're not just going to keep crying, or we're not just going to get depressed. We're actually going to do something about it. We're either going to move on, or we're just going to do something else. That's very important. Self-soothing. And one of the things I say to parents, the biggest gift you can give to your child is to teach your child how to solve their problems with Gurbani. You know, like that thing I said to you the other day about Simran time, about 5 times in a day, that you teach your child every time you're scared, just do Simran. Every time you're stressed, just do Simran. Every time you're frustrated, just do Simran. But if your parents are frustrated, tell them to do Simran. Hannah? I said that to you. Now, 1 minute. So what I'm saying to you is, if your child realizes, actually, if I do Waheguru Simran, I'm going to be okay, and they're realizing that from a young age, so when they get exams, they just do Ardas and they just do Simran. When they're trying to pass their driving test, they just do Ardas and they just do Simran. When they're basically going for their jobs or doing their exams, they're just doing Simran, so they're not getting stressed. When they get married, they're just doing the Simran. When they have children, they're just doing Simran. And anything else that happens as the children growing up, they're just doing Simran. What they're doing is they don't need anybody else. Because you've already taught that child, all your problems are going to be solved by doing Simran. That's why we say, Sukh vele, Shukrana, Dukh vele, Ardas, Har vele, Simran. That all your life's problems are going to be solved by Simran. This is very important because what happens is, children, if you got children that have a lot of technology, this is what teachers say. They say in class, they interrupt the teacher more. They have less patience, less ability to calm themselves down. They quit more easily. They do not have the capacity for deep play because they are used to computer games taking them to the next level. So let's analyze this, because this is very important. Waheguru. They interrupt the teacher more. If them children interrupt the teacher more, what they're going to do at home with you as a parent? They're always going to be more, what I would say is, they're going to need attention more. They're always going to be there, interrupting you more. They have less patience. That's going to make it hard for you to parent them. The less ability to calm themselves down. So they're always having tantrums. They're always basically crying. They're always getting angry. They're having tantrums. But the most important thing, they quit more easily. If they quit more easily, are they going to be able to run a business in the future? Because every time it gets hard, I've run a business for 20 years. 2 or 3 times I could have gone bankrupt. Running a business is very hard. You have to have very good mental strength to be able to get through it. You always have the good times and then you have the bad times. But they're going to quit. They're just going to give up. When they have problems in their marriage, they're going to quit. They're just going to get divorced. When they have basically problems in a job, they're just going to quit. They're just going to leave. What's going to happen is they're going to become dysfunctional human beings because everything in life, they just learned how to quit. है ना? And that's a problem. That's a problem for you and your child. Now, the key thing here is they do not have the capacity for deep play, because what happens in a computer game, there's no consequences for bad decisions. So if you're playing Fortnite and you die, what happens? You start a new game. But in life, if you make a bad decision, you have consequences. You make a bad decision at school, you get expelled. You make a bad decision at work, you get sacked. You make a bad decision in your marriage, you could get divorced. And that's the way life is. Every bad decision you have has consequences. But on a computer game, it doesn't. You just start again. And this is what's happening with these children. They think life is like that we're just going to be able to start again. We're going to be able to start again. And on a different talk, I'll show a demographic of my staff. So I live in a good family structure. It's called a box. We have parents, we have children, and then we have our children. It's straight lines. My manager, she's a Gori. She's basically got 2 children from her first marriage, and now she's got 2 children from a second marriage, but she's on a 3rd marriage. And her husband's had 2 marriages, and this is his second marriage, and they've got another child. And their children already have basically 2 of their daughters have already got divorced, and they've got 2 children from the first marriage, and they're now on the second marriage. And her son only got married for about 3 months, and he's already talking about getting divorced. Because he's just looking at what happened with his parents. It's easy just to quit and go away. So where mine's a straight line, when I show that out with all my staff, theirs is a pizza. It's just all killeria. And sometimes we have a laugh at Christmas time saying, that must be crazy. Who do you send a card to? Who do you send presents to? You know, there's so many other things that's happening here. And this is what's happening as society. We're breaking down. We're breaking down because for us, quitting is an option now. Just quit. And that's what's happening with children more and more. They're learning to quit easier. And as a result, they're not as successful as we have been. And if you look at your parents, what they went through when they came here, they had it tough. Do you think your children could survive in the same environment? Yeah, just 1 minute, we'll come to it. Do you honestly think you or your children could survive in the same times that your parents faced in the 70s? And so you have to respect that they had that mental strength, didn't they, to get through that. And that's what you want for your children. The last bit of this is they do not fall in love with their own creativity. And that is very important. I've always said to my children, my dad's worked hard. Like I've said a few times, my dad's worked really hard to get me in the right schools. I've worked hard to get my children into the top private schools in the country. But I say to my children, I don't really care if you're a doctor or a lawyer or anything else. I just want you to do something that you're passionate about. And sometimes I give them like what Jaspreet Singh's done. Jaspreet Singh is a Singh we have in UK. He does seva with us in the camps. And he's the creator of Victoria and Albert Museum. It's the top museum in London and one of the best museums in the world. Maharaja Ranjit Singh's throne's there. Guru Gobind Singh's Kalgi's there. There's so much stuff that they have from around the world. And he's picked a job that he's actually passionate about. So I say to my daughter, if you want to be a poet, I'll be happy. If you want to be a cook or a chef, I'll be happy. Because we've built property. My children are going to inherit my property. They're not going to have to pay a mortgage once in their life. They're just going to have what we have. So why don't they just enjoy their life and do something for the Panth? That's why I say to them, go and do something for the Panth. Jaspreet Singh's doing massive research for the Panth because he's getting so much stuff from our gurus and bringing it into UK museums. And that's what I say to my children. And this is what I say to your children as well. If you probably look at that, you're affluent enough to be able to give property to your children when they grow up. They're probably not going to have to work as hard as you. But at least they should live their dreams. So my parents, my dad wanted to go to university, but instead of going to university at the age of 18, he was sent to England. He was the oldest and he had to survive and he had to make money and he had to get the rest of his siblings across. He never got the chance to go to university. He's retired now and he loves reading. In the same way, if my son says to me, he always says to me, I want to be a Premier League footballer, I just say to him, Chardi Kala, just do ardas, you're going to do it. Whatever their dreams are, let them just do it. Because they're not like us. They don't have to do things. They're a better they got a luckier generation. So allow them to live their dreams like that. So the key part of that, they got to fall in love with their creativity. Now, teenagers. This is a study about teenagers. And this is from the Royal Society of Public Health, a very respected body in UK. Now, it says 7 out of 10 people say Instagram makes them feel worse about their body. This is a survey of Japan, South Korea, North America, and Europe. So it's a massive study. And they said 7 out of 10 Instagram makes them feel worse. Because they see people just having the perfect bodies, or they're saying people just having these amazing holidays and everything else. No one really looks at what the reality of that life is. They say more than half of the people say Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat increase anxiety. So they basically are getting mental health problems because they got anxiety, because they have to respond to messages or people saying things to them, or maybe nasty things, or they're worried about what's happening in other people's lives. But YouTube is most likely to have a positive. And this is the difference. YouTube has had a massive positive, not always, because sometimes they watch prank videos, and that does my head in when I see kids watching prank videos. Yes, they're already smiling, and the people know who watch prank videos. Or the worst one is when they watch other people play computer games. That's like the next level of dumbness. I mean, playing it yourself, but then watching other people play it, is this like next level. Right. So, but YouTube, my daughter will make the most amazing birthday cakes from watching 2 videos on YouTube, and suddenly she will just come out with this amazing thing, and we're like, oh my God, you did that? And other people will learn about health. Other people watch Smargams live. I remember once watching the whole of Ludhiana Smargam, then watched Toronto Smargam, and it was 24 hours, and we were like so boosted. Sitting there in front of our TV just watching these 2 Smargams. And this is the whole thing. It's connected us to that way. But there's a difference between what YouTube's doing, which can be educational if you use it properly, to what Instagram and Snapchat is doing. Now, you all know who Bill Gates is and Steve Jobs? No. This is from the New York Times. Sorry, the first one's from Reuters, which is a German news agency, one of the most respected in the world. It said that Bill Gates put a 45-minute cap on how his daughter could play a video game. He said no more than 45 minutes, and I'm going to explain to you the why. And then he did not let his child have a mobile phone until she was aged 14. Steve Jobs never let his children use an iPad at home. But they sold millions to everyone else's children. Why? Why wouldn't they let you do that? The reason is, half of teenagers in US and in Japan admit that they're addicted to their devices. Studies show, now this is now getting very interesting. Studies show that electronic devices are designed in the way that affects your brain's frontal cortex. Now, this is very important. When we study dementia, we talk a lot about the frontal cortex of your brain. Okay? This is where your emotions are, this is where you get stimulated, and this is also where you get dementia. Okay? And it shows that the effect on the frontal cortex of the brain is the same way that cocaine does. So these people have sat there and designed your phone, designed your iPad, designed games, designed apps so that it stimulates your mind the same way that cocaine does. How does cocaine do it? Is that you get so addicted to it, once you don't have it, you feel like your world is ending, that you need to go back and get it. And that's why people are checking their phones 60 times a day, because they feel, I might have missed out on something on Facebook. I might have missed out on something on Instagram. I might have done all this stuff. And your body, your mind is like getting that addiction. Electronic devices also raise your dopamine levels. But interestingly, and this is from the source, Health for All Kids. Okay? Interestingly, the most oversubscribed schools in Silicon Valley are the Waldorf schools. This is one of the Waldorf schools. So this is all the schools, this is where the children, all the people that are inventing these things, where do their children go? And the key thing about the Waldorf schools is they ban technology in them schools. So the very people that are building this technology are sending their children to schools where technology is banned. Because they know themselves what they are doing. They are making every device, every game, everything to such a way that you feel that if you're not doing it, je ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, that you basically can't live without it. It's designed to be like that, so it never ends. So, this is Christian Harris. He used to work at Google. He says, all of us have jacked the system. All our minds are being hijacked. Our choices are not as free as we think. A handful of people working in a handful of technologies companies, through their choices, will steer what a billion people are thinking today. And this is the whole thing. They can change whole elections. This is the whole thing. You probably didn't hear about it as much here, but we was talked a lot about in Europe about how Trump got elected and even how Obama got elected. Because certain technology companies in your Facebook, in your Instagram, must keep pushing news stories, promoting certain things about them. They basically affected how millions of people voted, even in Brexit. It was designed by what certain politicians and certain powerful people wanted. They are controlling the way you think because they're only putting them news stories in front of you. They're only putting them things in front of you so that you only read that opinion. Now, this is Justin Rosenstein. He invented the like button on Facebook. He's the one that created that like button. And what it was is they wanted to have a way where you never get off Facebook. So what they did is they put a like button on there so that constantly you feel that you have to like things. And if you put things on, other people must like you. And it becomes addictive then. And this is what they're doing. And he said, he admits it now. He goes, basically, we did it so that we made it like a pseudo pleasure. We made it so it becomes seductive. We made it so it becomes sexualized and all this other stuff so that your mind works about it in the same way. Now, this is Sean Parker. He's one of the biggest shareholders in Facebook. You might have seen the story about his role in Facebook. He says that we basically exploited a vulnerability in human psychology from the outset. God only knows what we are doing to children's brains. They admit it. They're now saying it. Sanu pataya, we've done massive nuksan to people because of the things that we have invented. But the problem is, sometimes what people say, फिर सारा कुछ इन्हां दा बंद कर दो, Xbox चक के बाहर मारो, है ना, टैबलेटां चक के बाहर मारो. The problem is this generation is also going to be the generation of artificial intelligence. So if they don't know how to understand technology, they won't be able to survive. So what you have to do with your children is you have to teach them how to live in a technological world, but not let technology control them. Now, this is very important because this is how children are growing up now. The way children are growing up now, TV, cell phone, and internet are their source. What's happening then is that they are sitting down longer. Rather than playing outside, they're sitting down, so they're becoming sedentary. They're becoming isolated as human beings. They have less friends. They're becoming neglected. They're neglecting their own bodies because they're not eating and living as healthy. They're becoming overstimulated, so their mind needs things instantly. As a result, they're getting obesity. They're becoming mentally ill, detached, and they're developing autism and attention deficit disorders. What's that going to do later on in their life is going to give them diabetes, stroke, heart attack. They're going to become addicted, violent, and perverted. They're going to get medicated, impulsive, and illiterate. They're going to lead to early death, no relationship, no job, unsustainable way of living. Okay? This is how we grew up as parents. We grew up in a way where we moved, we touched, we connected, and we went into nature. As a result, we were basically parasympathetic. We understood texture and we got attached to things. We basically became strong, coordinated, regulated, calm, focused. This is the optimum way of a human being to develop. We attended, we learned, and this is a sustainable way of living. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you understand that? Now, during the World Wars, this was the golden generation. People from Canada and America and UK and Europe, at the age of 16, were going to fight in the wars. And most of them are back by the age of 19 and 21. It was them years. Think about when you were 16. When you were 16, you're probably just doing your first exams. You weren't even going close to university. You normally do that at 18, don't you? So during that period, they'd already seen 2 years of war. They've seen D-Day, their friends have been killed. They've probably seen body parts of their friends. They maybe lost their own body parts and various other things. And this wasn't just happening to basically Gore, it's happening to Munde from the Pends of Punjab as well, because they basically went there as well. And at that age, they saw a massive amount of trauma. Yeah, do you agree? Trauma, bad things. But that generation had less mental health problems than we do today. So during them years of 16 and 18, went and saw a world war, saw millions of people killed, they came back, still set up their businesses, still got into jobs, and still carried on with their lives, and some of them are still living today. We now have children who, just because of technology, are having massive mental health issues. Don't you think that's a bit shocking? That we need to think about this. In the same way, if we look at our Sikh history, we are the spirit-born nation. This is how we often describe ourselves. कि साडे विच ना जन्म तो पहला ही वो स्पिरिट भरी पई आ, because ਇਹ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਆ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ. We are the spirit-born nation. ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਬੰਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਰ ਪਾਏ ਸੀਗੇ. ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ. ਕਿੰਨਾ cost? Because the Mughals, they killed Sikhs in the most horrific way possible so that other Sikhs would not leave Sikhi or they would not become Sikhs. But every time they did that, more people became Sikhs because we are the spirit-born nation. But even all this cheese, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ, we had less mental health issues. Why? Because the source of who these people were Naam, Kirtan, Bhakti, Seva and sacrifice. That was the purpose of their life. Okay? So, now, this is very important. This is emotional intelligence. Have you heard that word? Yeah? This is the biggest key about whether you're going to be successful in life. It's not intelligence. Sometimes you can go to the best private schools and you'll find some children that just basically know how to read books. But if you have to put them in a work situation, they can't survive because they're just total nerds and they don't know how to work with people. They don't know how to talk to people. So the best indicator of people that are going to be successful is not just intelligence, it's emotional intelligence. Okay? Now, emotional intelligence is basically people that have low emotional intelligence. They're aggressive, demanding, egotistical, bossy, confrontational, easily distracted, poor listener, resistant to change, slow, stubborn, critical, picky, all this other stuff. The people that have high emotional intelligence, they're assertive, ambitious, strong-willed, driven. They're patient, stable, predictable. They're detailed, careful, meticulous. Social emotional intelligence is the single most important skill in a human being needs to learn. So this is the key thing that you need to be teaching your children for them to be successful. Those of you who are parents who are picking the right schools for your children, this is what you should be looking at. Is that school going to teach my child to become emotionally intelligent? And this is the things that we should be looking at. So, practical solutions. So the key thing, what we do with our children, is we haven't taken their tablets away. We haven't taken their Xboxes away. We've said to them, because we don't want them to ever say that we took him away and then they go around their kids' friends' places and play more there. That's not healthy. What we've taught our children is that they need to become decision makers. So if they go to the Gurdwara for 4 hours at a weekend, they get half an hour on the Xbox. If they do certain things based around their Sikhi, they'll get time on their tablets. It's linked. You link in your bhakti time with your screen time. Okay? So that's very important. Next thing, when I bought my children laptops, and in now UK schools, the top private schools, they give them Chromebooks now as standard. The first thing I said to them was get SoundCloud. So my children, now when I was young, when I was revising for my exams, I needed silence. I don't know what kind of children we have today. But my nephew, he basically would have SoundCloud and he have Ranswai Geetam blaring out, and he still goes and gets straight A's. They know how to multitask on a level that we don't. But I basically got them on SoundCloud, and I said, every time you're using that laptop, there should be Kirtan coming out of it. And so that's what they do. They've got all their favorite Kirtanis, and they've got all that listed on their computers. And then a study shows, this is what I said to you the other day, if your child has behavioral issues, you teach your child to listen to their breaths. This is what they do with learning disabilities and autism now, is you teach your child to listen to their breaths. So that goes back to Simran time. So your children basically, if they're having a tantrum, you tell them to go and do some Simran time. Do not remove technology from children. Instead, encourage them to become sensible decision makers. So this is a key thing for you guys. You don't need to buy your children the latest phone. What you need to teach your children is, theek hai main tenu phone de dena, but you need to be sensible with this phone. You can't have every single app on there. Get rid of many of the apps. And don't basically give your children a computer in their own bedroom. This is the one thing we learned about grooming. Most children were groomed at home. Basically, when your children do homework, put them in the family room so that you can see what's actually on their laptops. You can see what's actually on their screens so that they're actually doing their homework, and afterwards they put their computers away. But do not give them computers in their own rooms where you don't know what's happening. And we've got children as young as 10, 11 groomed by Muslims who are taxi drivers sitting on their phones, and these young girls and boys as well have been sending pictures of themselves naked to these taxi drivers. Because they basically have convinced them they're their best friend. And even though the taxi driver is called Mohammed and he's 40 years old and he's got 4 or 5 children at home, he's basically messaging these young girls at 7 or 8. And there's been loads of cases like that. And we've had cases from Canada and your area here as well, Brampton and places like that. You probably heard of Bhai Mohan Singh's already come over, and we've got Sikh Youth UK, and there's various organisations that basically look at this kind of stuff. Encourage your children to discover the real world. So where there's seva, langar places, camps, everything, teach your children to go there, because physically doing seva is feeding your soul. And teach your children, actually get out, meet people, talk to people, and become a sociable human being, because that's part of your emotional intelligence. Right, you guys live in a city, yeah? Studies show that if a person lives in a city, goes to the countryside for a weekend, when they come back, their brain works 15% more efficiently. Okay? Your brain works 15% more efficiently when you go into the countryside for a weekend and come back. Because as human beings, we shouldn't be living in places which are just steel and grey. We are designed to live in places that are green. And we've got to think about that. Waheguru. So coming to the end. So teach your children to do actual hatti seva. If they do hatti seva, they become mentally strong. If you were doing langar di seva through this whole camp, if they were doing deg through this whole camp, if they're mopping the floor during this camp, you become mentally strong, because mentally you have to get yourself ready. Yeah, I'm going to do that seva. If they're basically doing jori and the seva and these kind of things, they're never going to learn on a tablet what this is. But only people that do this kind of seva afterwards can do this kind of seva. Jidda Guru Arjan Dev Ji shaheed ho gaye si tatti tavi te. No child on a tablet's ever going to become that kind of person, jehda tatti tavi te shaheed ho sakda. Or like Bhai Anok Singh, jehde band katwaye sige. Or Bhai Mani Singh and all these other Gursikhs in recent times and Prathan times. You only become like that if you hatti seva kiti hai and Ranswayan ja Khand Patan ch bethe hai. That's how you become mentally strong for that. Use bhakti practically. So we talked about Simran time. Make Simran time a practical thing in your household. So avoid negative language, avoid telling your children off, use Simran as a tool to basically teach them about this is the time when your behavior's now got too much, so we're going to do Simran time. Okay, make it a practical part of who you are. Practice humility to teach humility. The only way you can make your children be nimratale is to use nimrata yourself. I was once asked by Sikh channel, we were in Australia, and they asked me, they goes, Bhai Sahib, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਆਏ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਲੈਕਚਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕਰਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਨਾ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕਰਿਓ ਹੈ ਨਾ and they goes ਨਹੀਂ 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 ਅਗਰ ਮੈਂ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕਰਨਾ and then ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗ ਉਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰੋ ਪਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੰਥ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਆ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਆ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਆ ਟੈਬਲੇਟਾਂ ਛੱਡਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ ਫੋਨ ਛੱਡਣੇ ਪੈਣੇ ਆ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ ਐਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਦ ਥਿੰਗ when's the last time you talk to your children you might talk to your children about you're going to become a job what job you're going to do are you good at sports when's the last time you talked to your children and said when are we going to reach Sachkhand ਇਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਕਦੋਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਵੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਐਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਦ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਐਂਡ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਹਿਰਾਸ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਸੋ ਦਰ ਤੇਰਾ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੋ ਕਰਕੇ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਦਰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਆ ਐਵਰੀਥਿੰਗ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਇਟ ਆਈ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਸੀ ਥੀਸ ਥਿੰਗਸ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਚਾਹ ਹੋਵੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸੋ ਟਾਕ ਟੂ ਯੂਰ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ we're here to go to Sachkhand and then your children will start thinking about it and maybe they will get there but they will only get there if you talk to them about it you know so talk to your children yes I want you to reach Sachkhand so set that path and goals because Netflix and Amazon's taking over now agge hunda si we used to watch a movie if you watch a Hollywood movie 1.5 ਘੰਟੇ ਦੀ ਆ if you watch a Bollywood movie 3 ਘੰਟੇ ਦੀ ਆ but then it finishes Hana? Eventually, after all the songs, it finishes. Hana? Now what you have is they basically have box sets. Now, box sets on Netflix and everything will go on for 30, 40 episodes. And 30, 40 episodes. What are these companies doing? They're realizing if they want to make you more of a consumer society. And the more they consume your attention, the more successful they are. So why are they going to make a film for 1.5 hours? They're going to make a box set for 30 hours because they got your attention. They got more advertising time in there and they're going to sell you more products or do product placement in that movie or in that box set. Do you understand what they're doing? Now, this is very important because if you want to learn a new skill, let's say you want to learn a Tanti Saj, you want to learn how to you want to learn French as a language, you want to learn how to code, you want to learn how to get fit, you're going to go and do CrossFit, or you're going to go and do archery, or you're going to learn how to run a marathon. Statistics show that if you spend 80 hours doing something, you'll become very good at it. 80-hour rule. If you spend 80 hours on a vajja, you'll become a very good kirtani. If you spend 80 hours baking cakes, you'll become an amazing baker. If you spend 80 hours doing exercise, you'll become very fit. It's the 80-hour rule. Now think about all these generation of children and you could have become amazing linguistics. You could have learned 4 or 5 languages. You could have maybe learned how to do kirtan. You could have maybe learned how to do part. You could have maybe learned how to bake cakes. You could have basically lost all your fat and become really super fit. But instead, you've watched Friends. Or you've watched some other box set, or you've watched some other box set. And because as soon as one box set finishes, what happens? You start another one. And this will happen. It's taking up so much of your time where you could have become really talented human beings. Instead, you're just sitting in the front of a TV. And because then box sets are never going to end. So this is it. Our potential for reaching Sachkhand, that goal is disappearing because we've got too many swaths. And like I said in the previous shabd, in the session before, apne ko ghar bhi hai, gaddiyan bhi hai, sara kuch hai, inne swad hai, naam di jagah kithe rahi? Hai na? And this is what we got to realize. We got too many choices, too many swads. Yes, Virji?
You go to the washroom.
Okay. So last thing, this is the key thing. Teach your children that they can change the world. Gursikhi Jeevans change the world. If all your children become spiritualists, if all of them become bhagats, hai na? Imagine today if we had a Baba Deep Singh. Imagine today if we had a Mata Pakur, because we have them. But they would have huge impact on the Panth. Hai na? They would lead the Panth into something. Hai na? Imagine even if we had a Bhai Ranveer Singh or a Sant Janel Singh, or we had a Bhai Fauja Singh or a Bhai Anok Singh, they would lead the Panth and do things. We have that in our children, but instead of them becoming them people, they're watching box sets or they're doing it on the Xboxes and stuff. So we got to teach the children, actually, let's get out of this. Let's actually control your things so that you control it. Don't let your technology control you, you control your technology. Does that make sense? So we want the kind of children that are going to change the world. Hai na? You had one Bhai Ranveer Singh in Punjab, and he made most of Punjab do Kirtan. Hai na? And even today, we're still having smargams as a result of that. Hai na? You had one Baba Janel Singh that basically inspired a lot of people in Punjab, hai na? And still his pictures inspire people around the world. Hai na? You had Bhagat Puranji, who wrote his books, Bhai Veer Singh, who wrote his books. They changed whole generations. Hai na? So imagine what the next Bhagat in our Panth is going to do. In a time of social media, in a time where we can communicate with our own TV channels, in a time of all this tongue, it's going to bring most of the world into Sikhi. We just need them kind of Jeevan Wale Gursikhs. Hai na? And we want our children to become them, because it only takes one to bring massive real change. Hai na? So think about these kind of things. Okay? So has that been helpful? I floated a few ideas with you and made you think about all these things. Theek hai? So absorb it, think about it. Is there any questions on anything that I've said in all the talks that I've done so far?
No, I wanted to say that Nirvar
Hmm.
we are the youth, like young UK, we are doing
Yeah, Harinder Singh, I know him very well. He came out of our camps. Oh, Coventry camp ch Sikhi cha aaya siga.
So I think that's kind of what you talk about, a positive influence on new generation. Now they are taking and spreading the message around.
Yeah, not just him. We've got so many young, talented kids that are doing amazing things. So you'll see on the shared TV show, some of these kids are doing these sketches. They're only 7 or 8, but they're designing sketches for TV, and they're filming it, then they're video editing it. I know. And the other ones, we've got one 12-year-old that sat through a whole Khanpat. We've got one Munda in one of our towns. His dad said to him, he said to his dad, I got a mole on my foot. And his dad said to me, he goes, I just said to him, if you got a mole on your foot, why don't you just keep doing Simran until it goes away? And he goes, main ona shukla karda siga. And he goes, he actually sat there for 8 hours and he didn't get up until it disappeared, and then he just went and played. And he goes, I couldn't believe my kids sat there for 8 hours. But you go to certain towns like Coventry, this weekend, there's a Nambias camp in Coventry. That's about 100 Gursikhs and their children are going to be doing Bhakti for 36 hours continuous. Most of the Coventry Singhs, Bhai Tarsem Singh, Taranjit Singh, all of them lot, on a Friday evening, they all switch off their phones and they won't switch them back on till Monday morning. They don't care about the world and distractions. They run their Gurdwara and they just do their Bhakti. That's just one town. And these are young people. But if you look at Tarsem Singh, look at the things that he's already created. He created Sikhi to the max. He's been doing Punjab Handi Seva for the last 20 years in UK. You know, he's creating all these things as a reminder. And it's because they got that base of that kind of Bhakti. And in Derby, what we do is every quarter, we have camps like this, but they're pure Namabhyas camps because the people have had these camps and they now want the next level. So in them Namabhyas camps, it's just continuous Simran and part, and it will just go on for a whole day, then they get some rest, next day, and that's what they will do. And what these people are doing is a young generation like ours who are all professionals, but they want to really become deep buckets. And this is what you're going to build up to. It starts off with these camps. Once these camps become successful, you're going to have a lot more of you. but you guys are still the first group where you still got Sikhi from your families. The next group, as you keep building these camps up, you're going to get a lot of people that have no Sikhi in their families. But they're going to become the good Gursikhs. And they're going to be even more faster than you. They're going to do more bhakti than you. They're going to be more seva than you. Then you're going to get the next generation, which is what we're seeing now, of people that have no interest in Sikhi, but as soon as they find it, they fly. And they do amazing things. I'll give you an example, is Jagraj. None of his family's in Sikhi. But he came to one of our camps. My brother-in-law helped him come into Sikhi, and that was it. He just then flew. He just basically said, that's it. I'm going to start doing YouTube videos. I'm going to start doing this. What I've learned in Sikhi is amazing. It's just inspiring me. I'm going to tell the world about it. And that's what he did. And that's what basic Sikhi is all about. It's a big loss to us that he passed away. But that's just the way Bana happens. But let me tell you, it's all about your uddam. The people that are going to run Brampton and Toronto, who are going to be your most inspirational Gursikhs, that are going to really inspire all these kids, haven't come to the Gurdwara yet. You're the one, your uddam has to bring them to the Gurdwara. But when they come to the Gurdwara, Maharaj is going to do so much kirpa on them, they're going to leave you all standing and then leave all these kids. They're going to massively change these kids. And that's what you constantly got to be thinking. I'm going to do more camps, I'm going to do more seva, I'm going to do more uddam, because one day someone's going to walk through that door and they're going to do something amazing. And I've seen that so often. So many times I've seen people, every time I've done a talk, I know that, because sometimes 2-3 years later, someone will come up to me, Baji, you probably didn't see me, I was sitting at that back, but I heard your talk, and since then I've come into Sikhi and I've done this, 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 and this. That's why it makes me think every weekend I'm not going to sit at home, I'm going to do another talk. Because I know that, yeah, there'll be 100 people and it might half affect them, but there'll be 1 or 2 at the back that's going to totally change their lives. And that's the 1 or 2 that we're interested in. And that's what it's all about. It's about creating that. We're sowing the seeds of the future. And that's why I encourage you, the quicker you do it, the better Ontario is going to get. The better your children's environment's going to get. And that's why never look back, always stride forward. Okay? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.